Okay, here's part 2 of our Latin. And in last video, we talked about first conjugation verbs also, the RA verbs. If you're not familiar with that, you should watch part 1. And in this video, we'll also talk about irregular verbs. Okay, so from last video, we talked about a verb. We talked about a couple of verbs, so we'll just mention them here. There was dare. Do you remember what that means? Dare? It means to give. And we said that this is in the present infinitive. It means to give, so in English you have that to there. And if you want to break it down in the present tense, and we're dealing with the present tense so far, in other words, you conjugate it. You got to conjugate verbs. Conjugate. And so in the singular, do you remember how to conjugate dare? That'd be the singular and the plural. And let's bring it down here. Bring the arrows down. So you have I give in English. I give. Well, that's do. And you give. Remember? Das. And you got to remember the endings, right? We have o, as, at. Dot will be he or she, it gives. And then the plural, we give. We give. Do you remember? Damus. Damus. Not amus. So underlining the endings that you have to remember. O, as, at in singular. And then over here we'll say you give. And then he, she, it gives. And of course, in the plural, it's you all and they. So you all. How would you say you all if you remember from the last video? Datis. And the last one, they give dant. So again, remember the endings. O, as, at, amus, atis, ant. You just have to practice that, and you will be able to conjugate all RA verbs. So let's look at the other RA verbs, and we'll add more for this video. Let's clear that out. So we also, in last video, we had laborare. It's an RA verb. You see that RA verb there. And if you think of the English, you probably will figure out what this is. Laborare means to work in the present infinitive. And then we also talked about amare, another RA verb, right? To love. We talked about orare, to pray. And also, we ended in the video with this one, manducare, to eat. Let's add some. Let's add a couple. How about vocare? And if you think about English, you may come up with what these mean. Vocare. What do you think? It means to call, right? In English, you get vocal. You get a lot of English, a lot of Latin comes into the English language, a lot of it. Vocare, to call. That's why if you learn Latin, you can probably do well on the SATs in the vocabulary section. And then let's add another one. How about confirmare? What do you think that means? Confirmare. Think of the English, and they'll come to you. Confirmare. You got it, to confirm. And if you're Catholic, you go your confirmation, right? Confirm. All right. And we'll do, what about vitare? This one you may know. Vitare. Think of the English. Vitare. Right? It's veto, right? If you think veto means I forbid, it means to forbid. Just, forbid. The president has veto powers. It stops the bill. Vitare. All right, and in other videos, we'll add more and more vocabulary words, and you'll get better and better at it. So let's look at some irregular verbs now. Let's clear this out. Now, they're called irregular because they don't fit the normal pattern of o, as, at, amas, atis, ant. So we'll look at one called esse. And esse is an irregular verb meaning to be, to exist. Esse. Fix that E. And you break down esse into this. Sum, this is in the singular. Sum means I am in the singular. You say I am, right? That's to be, sum. Then it's es, and then est. So es means you are, and est is he, she, it is. And that's in the singular. But in the plural, it's sumus, we are, estis, you all are, and sunt, they are. And you just have to memorize these. Now, something that was interesting is if you remember the book Green Eggs and Ham by Dr. Seuss, 1960, he had a book, Green Eggs and Ham, and there was in the book he said, Sam, I am. And a lot of people have said that this is just his way of making fun of how he learned Latin when he was in school. Because when you learn Latin, you got to memorize sum, I am, sum, I am, sum, I am. And he was just having fun. Sam, I am, right? We understand that now when we're learning Latin. And let's add a sentence now. We could say, sum delicatus, delicatus. And that means I am, Sam. Well, not Sam, but sum, I am. And delicatus means nice. So I am nice, sum delicatus. You can say that to people. All right, so in the next video, we'll talk more about the RA verbs, some other verbs, and we'll put together some nouns in a sentence.